It's episode 13 of the Toadstool Boardroom. My name's Logan Plant, joined today by Odell Harmon Jr.
Hey, everybody.
And Chris Shriver.
Hello, beautiful people.
And it is August when we're recording this, but when it's in your ear holes, it will be September. And you know what that means. Chris didn't like ear holes. You know what that means. It's Nintendo Direct speculation season, because of course it is, every September, right? So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some new Nintendo Switch sales numbers. That sounds like a console, doesn't it? New Nintendo Switch. We're going to talk about some Nintendo Switch sales numbers that reveal the success of Super Mario 3D All-Stars, Splatoon 3, Splatfest impressions, and a little bit more. But let's get started here with this Nintendo Direct rumor roundup. We always get a Direct in September, guys. Since 2016, we've gotten a Nintendo Direct in September. Even in 2020, when they were just doing the weird partner showcases, we still got a Nintendo Direct in September. So the dates range from September 1st back in 2016 all the way up to September 23rd last year. So it could come at any point in the month. We didn't get a traditional Nintendo Direct back in June, right? We got the partner showcase, which showed off some nice things, but nothing first party. So I think that it's not worth speculating on if it's going to happen. I think it will, but if it doesn't, it doesn't. But I think it needs to, because usually this is the time where we learn kind of what's on the books for the first quarter of next year. And right now, next year, we don't really know anything. 2023 is a big question mark. We've got the sequel to Breath of the Wild, which they claim is coming out in the spring. I won't believe them until it's in my hands. And then Advance Wars Reboot Camp is still TBA. Metroid Prime 4 is still TBA. And that is it. Today, the rumor mill was firing. Jeff Grubb, who's always telling us when Nintendo Direct's going to happen, says there's 100% a Direct this month. And he said that I think there's going to be a lot of Zelda at this thing. I think this is going to be a Zelda blowout for Nintendo. What that could mean, that's just speculation. We don't know. Chris, if this Direct happens, what needs to be in it? What do you expect will be in it?
I don't want it to happen. I think it'd be so funny. I think it'd be so funny if it didn't happen, just to mess with everyone. But I think it will. I mean, the rumor mill is obviously throwing around the Twilight Princess and Wind Waker HD remakes. Yes. I think those are easy wins. If Nintendo is really going to stick to their guns with, we are releasing Zelda content every year, I would think they could spin around those ports within a year, depending on if they have the resources available. Those games came out not that long ago on the Wii U. I don't think you show off a ton, honestly. Maybe you give another story trailer for Breath of the Wild. Maybe you reveal the title, and Please. I think you leave it at like spring 2023 or just 2023, and you leave it at that. Leave it a little more open in case, God forbid, something else were to happen. And everyone keeps throwing around Metroid Prime Trilogy. I don't know. I've been hearing this rumor for literally years at this point. It's the same thing with Metroid Prime 4. They're going to release that before Metroid Prime 4. They want to have give people the opportunity to play those games, because it's been a very long time since the originals came out. I have a hard time believing. I could see that being maybe a spring release before Breath of the Wild 2. But I think they're sending Metroid to die if they release the trilogy after Breath of the Wild 2 comes out. There's no, if they do that, there's no hope for that franchise at that point.
Why? Why do you say that?
Dread, I think, sold well enough that it's not like they're going to stop making Metroid Prime 4. But the people that care about Prime 4 are us. And I don't know what the sales numbers of it were on the Wii. I know a lot of people, around my age when we were growing up and it came out on the GameCube, we were real hot on it. But I don't know how much people care now for a first-person Metroid game. At least the young Nintendo audience. They really haven't had a ton of... They've had opportunities to play it, but nobody bought the Wii U. 2D style Metroid games, sure. There are Metroidvania games a dime a dozen at this point. You can be introduced to that type of game over and over again. And not that people don't play first-person shooters, but Metroid Prime was a very different kind of game.
They wouldn't call it a shooter, right?
They wouldn't.
First-person adventure.
No, it's a first-person adventure game, and I would agree with them. So I think it would not be wise of them to. I think best case scenario, Metroid Prime comes out, Trilogy comes out in February, and then maybe you drop Zelda April, May, something like that.
Okay. This is an anniversary year for Metroid, so we'll see. We did get Dread just last year, but yeah, I don't know. You're saying you don't know how much people care about 3D Metroid. I feel like you can remove this series from that statement and just say people care more about 3D games than 2D games. Look at Kirby and the Forgotten Land. It is going to be the greatest selling Kirby game of all time, and it's the first 3D Kirby game of all time. Those two things that's not a coincidence. Those two things are absolutely connected. I think that just by virtue of this being a hopefully good-looking first-person game on Nintendo Switch, something that their first-party catalog severely lacks, I think it will do better than Dread. I've been saying that for a while. I think that even if it's not a better game than Dread, which I think will be tough because I think Dread is phenomenal, I think it will sell better just because I think that you see a commercial for it and it's like, oh, that looks like a fun first-person sci-fi, maybe Halo-like game. I'm going to go pick that up. And I think you'll see like 4 to 5 million for Metroid Prime 4. If we're seeing about 3 for Dread right now. So I don't think it should be positioned right around Zelda. I agree with you. I think there should be some space. There's rumors that Metroid Prime is just coming out this year by itself, not 2 and 3. Again, I don't really buy into any of this until I see it.
Well,
but that is the current rumor.
And going off of that, I mean, I guess my question, and Odell, I'm very interested to hear what you have to say, is that do you think they just go, okay, it's Metroid Prime Trilogy version, it's widescreen, it runs 1080p, 60 FPS or 30, whatever. Or do you think they go, hey, this is a graphical overhaul, like almost like what they're doing with The Last of Us Remastered on PS5, and they go, we're making Metroid Prime for the current generation, and this is kind of like to Sherpa everyone into, this is what you can expect from Metroid Prime 4.
I'm going with graphical overhaul. I've actually kind of felt that way before, like that. My thinking is if they were going to release the trilogy, they would have either A, done it by now, or B, we would know it was going to happen. So my only thing that makes sense to me is that they're just releasing one, and it's going to not be in, a la Metroid Prime 4 style, but it will be an advancement, a vastly superior option than, the original release on the GameCube. And that's probably what they're going to do because honestly,
controls, hopefully, right?
I hope so.
We made it happen. We made it happen on the 64 too. Don't know how, but we did. but that's what I'm hoping, because honestly, I think if we're okay, for me, yes, I would play the trilogy. But if we're just talking about generic fan, maybe I play Dread. Maybe I know Samus from Smash. There's no way I see the average person playing all 3 titles. Like that's just a hard sell for me. But hey, here's just the one game. It looks, amazing for the Switch, or maybe just looks amazing, period, for a game. I think that'd just be a much easier sell, because I feel like something like a trilogy, there has to be like some like legacy behind it. Like, look at, the Mario game. Like, even though that was, maybe like, not the best rollout of how you're going to port the games, but it has the name notoriety, the love behind it. And Metroid doesn't necessarily have that behind it. So it would be like easier just to sell Metroid Prime 1 of the greatest Metroid games ever made, as a standalone upgraded product, than to sell this legacy title when no one really knows the legacy, and the people who do are going to buy Metroid Prime 4 anyway.
I agree. I think it's in a weird place because I don't see them releasing even the trilogy as it is control-wise. Because Metroid Prime Trilogy on the Wii, right, it overhauled the first 2 to be motion. Mm-hmm. And then the third one was always motion, since it originally came out on the Wii. And there's no way Metroid Prime 4 is going to be motion control based, right? There's absolutely no way. So I guess from their perspective, I don't see them saying, let's give them a taste of what to expect by putting out this trilogy. How does that trilogy control? You already are having to put a lot of work into that to bring it up to work really on the Nintendo Switch, or you just have this weird Joy-Con motion control thing, which I know you guys aren't really a fan of, and I don't think a lot of people would be either. So for my money, it does make more sense to just say, Metroid Prime 1 is the crown jewel of this trilogy, right? I think that 2 is kind of the black sheep, and with its Dark World stuff, people don't like that one as much. And then 3, I know, is liked better than 2, but not to the level of 1, right? 1 is the gem. So if they just say, let's pour our resources into this, give it twin stick control, probably with gyro aiming as an option, because I think it's actually pretty good with the Switch Pro controller, and give it a visual overhaul, sell it for $60. It will be $60. I think that makes more sense than a trilogy. That I agree with Odell. Like, who's picking that up? You had your chance on the Wii. Everybody had the Wii. Who's buying that? If it's like Metroid Prime HD, that's going to turn more heads than here's the trilogy again that we gave you on the Wii U, we gave you on the Wii, we gave you on the GameCube, and you didn't buy.
You know, now that I'm thinking about it, if they wanted to be smart about it, this is not going to happen, by the way. Not 100%, not in a million years. You buy the game, and, you know, you get, like, the free digital download for the trilogy on the Switch. That'll be, like, a smart investment. Like, you get the super upgraded version of 1, and you get the literally just port it over onto the Switch trilogy if you buy the game. I feel like that's a win-win for everybody.
Here's what you do. I'll because we've talked about this on the show. You make that the pre-order bonus. You do the Master Quest thing. You go, hey, if you do this, we'll give you a code for the trilogy.
That would be very cool.
They'll never do it.
Very, very cool.
They'll never.
Before we leave though, I wanted to give my predictions for how this showcase is going to go.
Okay.
I honestly think everyone's overthinking it. I really think it's just going to be a quick, like, look, Pokemon's coming out. Here's some more Pokemon information. Here's some new Pokemon. Sparks of Hopes is coming out. Here's some Sparks of Hope stuff. Here's a surprise game that's coming out this year. We're going to have another Metroid Dread situation. Like, we're announcing this game. This game's coming out in November, October, what have you. Don't know what that title is. It'll just be, here's a new title. Huh?
It's going to be Wind Waker.
It could be one of the Zelda games. My point is, we will just get an announcement of new game this year, whether it's the Zelda rumor, whether it's like a new DK game, whether it's you know, if the Stars Align, a Star Fox game. I think we'll get another surprise like that, and then maybe if we're lucky, we'll get the smallest sneak peek into 2023 with maybe a Zelda trailer or maybe something like a Mario trailer.
I think it's going to be a little more than that. I really do. I think that so? The difference with Dread for me is that Dread was in June. This is September. For a brand new title, that's a really quick turnaround for an entire marketing cycle. Whereas if it's like Wind Waker HD, it's like kind of a 3D All-Stars situation where that was a very quick turnaround.
I mean,
I don't see them.
I agree with you, but
yeah, think
about what we just went through with Splatoon. Like, that game really didn't have a marketing cycle until
we knew about it.
We knew about it, but like, we got one trailer and then some screenshots and some tweets for.
It could be a Kirby's Dreamland thing, not Dreamland. Kirby's Diet Restriction. No, I'm saying it could be. It might not be like it could be a smaller release game.
Oh, I got you.
Like, was it Dreamboat? Crap. What
Dream Buffet?
Kirby's Dream Buffet.
There you go.
Kirby's Dream Boat. I have two more things I want to bring up real quick.
Go ahead.
My shower thought was that they released both Twilight Princess and Wind Waker on the same day, like a Pokemon style release.
Here's my question to you: why would they do that? Why? Everyone forever has always connected these two games and said they're going to come at the same time. They might be sold separately. They might be in a 2-pack. And my question to you is, why would they do that? If they give us Wind Waker now and Twilight Princess on the same day, and then Breath of the Wild 2 in 5 months, these two ports combined are not going to sell as much as if they just say, here's Wind Waker, which is the more beloved one, despite how I feel about the two games. Right? Wind Waker is the more beloved game. That one makes sense to put out first when you know Breath of the Wild 2 is on the horizon. That game will sell great on its own. Next year's Breath of the Wild. And then summer 2024, the Zelda product for the year, when the Oracle remakes aren't ready, or whatever it is, then you shove out Twilight Princess for $60. That game will sell more on its own 2 years from now than it would if you put it out against a game that people like more. I don't understand why people always loop these together. I think it's because that's the dream. It would be awesome to get both of these games on the same day and add them to the Zelda shelf. But it's just never made sense to me. They've never done anything like that except for like 3D All-Stars where it was bundled. But Zelda has always been kind of like maybe has a higher perceived value.
It's an event
than Mario.
It's an event when a Zelda game comes out.
Yeah, so I don't see them bundling them, and I sure as heck don't see them selling them separately even in the same year. It just does not make sense to me. Skyward Sword on its own killed that dream for me. When they're like I thought that we had a chance at a trilogy of Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, and a new Skyward Sword HD. But when they put Skyward Sword HD out last year for $60, that ended the story for me of Twilight Princess and Wind Waker coming out together. Sorry to steamroll over you, Chris. I just had to get that out.
No, I mean, and I agree with everything you're saying, but there's still that small part of me that, like, it doesn't make sense. And I think that's why they do it. I think they release it and they're like, all right, in my mind, it's like, all right, the Switch only has so much more runway. And I think they're trying to get as much of the Zelda content on it as humanly possible. If they do an Oracle of Seasons and Ages remake, I think that's 2024. That's a big if. I think you get these two games out of the way, and it's like, look, we already made it, but you nerds that didn't buy the Wii U, here you go. Here's your re-release. Get off our backs, and then everybody can move forward. I'm sure it's come up in a meeting. I don't think they'll actually do it for the reasons that you've said, but I want to believe that they will.
I do too, and I think a lot of it does depend on something you just mentioned, which is how much life does the Switch have? Is it going to be a Switch 2 situation, a Switch 1.5 situation? What does that look like? Because I do think we see both of these games on the Switch platform, but I guess I am of the mind that it is going to kind of be a natural flow into the next generation where all your Switch games move forward. So there's no real rush to put out both right now because I think everyone's just going to kind of level up to whatever the next thing is. So if I were to lay out my dream of the next 5 years of Zelda, I would hope Wind Waker this fall, Breath of the Wild next year, Breath of the Wild DLC at the end of next year. I think Twilight Princess in 2024, the year after that, and then maybe these remakes in 2025. And that's a long ways out, but that's what I would like to see.
I feel like we should get Twilight Princess before Wind Waker, though, because that game still hasn't received a ground-up remake. You just got to port it.
Yeah, I don't think we're getting that.
I don't think we're
getting that.
Haters, man.
You have Twilight Princess HD right there, and it's great. It's a great version of that game. I think that's
the one
absolutely what you'd see.
Yeah.
Do we see Breath of the Wild 2 here?
Yeah.
This month?
Yes.
This month.
I doubt it.
You think we're seeing it?
I don't think we're seeing it.
I think we see it if it's the March game. This is the direct that we had when we saw Kirby and the Forgotten Land. And that was, that was the end of that quarter, but it was, it was the spring game.
Okay, how about if we do see it, like 90%, it won't be new information. It'll be more of like a, just so you know, we haven't forgot about this. Maybe like it'll be one of those trailers where like there will be new things in the trailer, but the trailer overall won't be new, if that makes sense.
This game exists, but here's Wind Waker, just like they did with Skyward last year. I can see that. I wouldn't like it, but I could see it.
Unfortunately, we're not ready to show you this at this time.
No, again, it'll get an honorable mention. It'll get like, hey, here's like a trailer with new, like it'll show like, here's the Guardians. Oh, what are they doing? Is this a flashback or I don't know. Because I feel whenever we get the Zelda announcement, I feel like it's just going to be a standalone thing. It's just going to be that. And until we get the standalone, we're talking about Breath of the Wild 2. It's just going to be these bite size. We haven't forgot about it. We're still doing it. We promised, just to shut people up, essentially. So until we get the dedicated, it's coming. That's all it's ever going to be to me.
I think that I would be shocked if it did not get mentioned in a direct. If this is, of course, under the pretense that there is a direct in September. If there is one, I'd be shocked if it's not mentioned. And I think you get one of two things. I think you either get literally, hey, we said spring 2023. Aonuma shows up in the suit with the black screen. And he's like, we said it. Sorry, it's going to be next fall. And here's Wind Waker. Or it's going to be, here's the title. Here's the date.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those two things. I think it's time. To me, spring for Nintendo has always kind of meant March. That is like what I think of when I hear spring.
Here's something interesting to think about.
It was March. Go ahead.
So Nintendo's going to be at PAX, right? We still don't know what Nintendo's actually showing. They haven't actually disclosed that information. Everyone's assuming there's going to be a Splatoon setup and there's going to be people playing Splatoon all weekend. Which
there were signups to play Splatoon at PAX, right?
Yeah.
People signed up.
They're having the North American tournament. But that's on the esports stage and stuff. But, it's easy to assume at the booth, that's probably what they're going to show, right? That's all they're going to have. Because the Pokemon company's there, as their separate entities. So it's like Pokemon showing up, Pokemon company is assumingly showing off Pokemon. Nintendo showing off Splatoon. But this is Nintendo's first in-person conference since the pandemic. I'm just spitballing here. There could be a feasible chance that they announce something there physically at an event. Probably not, but I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying I feel like it's notable to note that since 2020, this is Nintendo's first event in person in, you know, almost 3 years. I feel like that's significant enough to justify being like, hey, here's a thing at our booth.
See them announcing like something Splatoon related, like here's the first map.
You can play the puzzle game on your phone.
Yeah. I don't know. They've never really done anything at PAX before, so that would be a surprise, but we'll see.
Again, this is only under the pretense that, you know, COVID was a game changer. They haven't, you know, been at an event. I'm just saying the possibility exists.
Any last things to say on Zelda before I get a couple other things I'd like to see out in the open?
Not Zelda, but not one of you or myself has brought up Nintendo Switch Online.
That's totally going to be here.
Okay.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. Slipped my mind, but it's every September. What do you want? Game Boy? Game Boy Advance?
Game Boy Advance. Yeah. That'll be there.
Mm-hmm. That seems like a shoo-in. Got to get those renewals. Game Boy Advance for expansion pack, a new tier.
Yo,
separate tier?
No, stop it. No. Expansion pack. We're not adding on top of the expansion. You can't expand the expansion pack with another
Rumble
expansion pack.
Game Boy Player pack. That'd be a good name.
Oh, that is a good name, actually.
Don't give him ideas, Logan.
Nintendo Switch Online Game Boy Player. Extra $10 a month on top of whatever tier you're on. Yep, that'll absolutely be there. Maybe your big Pokemon prediction will come true that we've been talking about with Pokemon Stadium and some of those games. That'd be cool. But I think that Fire Emblem game leaked a couple months back. Maybe it's time for that.
I forgot all about that.
Images of like
the
red and blue haired protagonist looked very much like a Three Houses sequel.
That'll be the spring game, and I'll be so disappointed.
I think that's coming out in February. I think that's your February game.
No, that's our this year game.
No way. No,
yeah,
want to bet on this? You want to make a bet?
No, I'm not saying. All I'm saying is we will get a game that we did not know was going to be this year. This year, if the direct happens, they'll be like, "Here's a game." It could be, you know, the Wildest Dreams, or it could be Fire Emblem, or it could be like, you know, Mario versus Donkey Kong 5. The point is, we'll get a game that is announced for the first time or revealed officially, and the release date will be this year. Yes, I'm willing to bet on that.
I agree with that. I'd say there's no way in hell it's Fire Emblem that they do that with. Yeah, I agree with that. I think it'll be Wind Waker. I think they'll do that with Zelda. I hope Zelda's there. I hope Zelda, a port, and Breath of the Wild are there. I think Metroid will show up in some capacity. I think Fire Emblem will be there. And boom, there's your beginning, middle, and end. They always do that. They got 3 big things to direct. In like the segment between those two, they'll do Switch Online. They'll tell us about Rabbids. Maybe Pokemon. Pokemon has been doing their own thing more as of late. Some indies. Crossing fingers for Sports Story. I'm still waiting for the Golf Story sequel 5 years later. And then last thing, I think Advance Wars will show up. I think it'll be there.
Nope.
You're saying
nope.
No.
The war
I want that game more than anything.
Yeah.
It's just not. Like,
that situation has not improved.
It has not improved. So maybe I think they're going to put this thing out. I really do. We'll see.
Put it out, like release it, or put it out in the backyard and shoot it.
Release it.
Okay.
They're going to release it.
He's like, release it or release it?
Release
it. I think they're going to put this game on the Nintendo eShop. Maybe it doesn't get a physical release anymore, but I think it's going to show up. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. And that is our speculation for a hopeful September Nintendo Direct. We don't even know yet, but I'm pretty sure we'll get something from them this month at the very least. But let's move on. These are some new Nintendo Switch sales numbers. Reveal that Super Mario 3D All-Stars, as you probably expect, was a big success. So this comes from research firm CESA. This is from December of 2021. They release numbers every year in this in a book that comes out at the end of the year in Japan. So these are numbers. And this encompasses everything: digital, physical, This is all copies shipped of the game. Super Mario 3D All-Stars sold over 9 million copies. So almost a 10 million seller, a very big hit. And remember, this is the game that was a limited time release. It was announced in September of 2020. It came out very shortly after that. And they said, you have until March 31 of 2021 to buy this game. After that, it was delisted digitally, and you can still walk into a store and find this game on the shelf today. Guarantee it. Go to your local Best Buy. There's probably still a few there, because that's been the case with me every store I've gone into ever since this thing came out. But before we get into some of these other numbers, I want to ask you guys, what do you think Nintendo's going to take away from a 9 million seller for this limited run thing? It's one of the only times we've really seen them do it. Odell, we'll start with you. Do you think that we see them do this again because of how well this sold?
Absolutely not. And if they do, it has to be Mario, Zelda, Pokemon. Like, it has to be your big boys. There's no way in hell this worked without it being Mario. Just like, I'm not even sure if it could even work with Zelda, to be honest with you. Because unlike Zelda, like Mario has universal forever appeal. People look at it, I know it's Mario, he's gonna jump, he's gonna go wahoo. And then Zelda people, you have to kind of be in the zeitgeist of Zelda to buy a Zelda game. You just have to know games exist to get a Mario game.
That's true. That's fair. What do you think, Chris?
I don't think the fact that it was, don't get me wrong, I think it boosted numbers a little bit. I bought 2 copies. I bought it digitally and physically. My physical copy is still in the shrink wrap. But honestly, I thought those numbers were soft for what this game is. I mean, you're talking about 3 of the biggest game, like 3 games that are like tent poles of my life that were in one box, and you're telling me 9 million people bought it. Like, I thought this would have done at least double that.
Okay. Yeah, we got Super Mario Odyssey is like in the 20 millions. And then, yeah, like even Super Mario Party sold like, what, 18 million copies? That's nuts. Yeah, I'm a little surprised too. Honestly, it would have hit this if it wasn't a limited release. I guarantee you it would have.
Yeah.
Like, if it was still available on the eShop and was occasionally discounted to like $40, as they do with some of their other games, such as Mario Tennis Aces, is consistently down there. And one of the Mario parties is New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. Great title. Often drops down there as well. If they'd done that with this would have crossed 10 million. So I don't think we see them do it again. I'm still surprised we saw them do it the first time. I don't really know why they did. Was it really just because Super Mario 64 came to Switch Online last year, and they didn't want to have 2 different versions of the same game available?
Yeah, but then because put it there. Like,
yeah.
You know, it's it's the same company, right? Like, it's not like they didn't know what they were going to do.
Mm-hmm.
I promise you, Chris, if this game wasn't just like a literal 1-for-1 port, and it was just even the cheapest HD remix version of all these 3 games, it would have done double or triple those numbers easily.
Oh, you're not wrong at all. Yeah. I mean, if you go on YouTube, look up Super Mario 64 PC port, and just see some of the versions that people have made. If they had released anything close to what the community has done, yeah, you're absolutely right. But
you think so?
Yeah.
Oh, I know so.
Yeah.
Because we're at the point now, we're at the age, well, at least me and Chris are. I have a lot of conversation with a lot of younger journalists, people in gaming, the community, etc. And I hear all the time how Mario 64 is overrated, how we're living in nostalgia, this, and the third. And I tell them people that's all crazy because Mario 64 controls better than some games today. I stand by that statement. Yes, don't look the greatest.
I don't.
Yeah, some bad games. I don't stand by that at all.
But what I'm saying is, people, we've reached that point where like the glory of Mario 64 is not like
it dies with us. Like we're the last like bastion of people that are gonna like go to bat for this game.
And like 10 years ago, if you said Mario 64, people would be like, oh yeah,
right.
Go. You have the conversation now. People are like, yeah, you need to get off that hill. So I think that's why you see it as 9 million. So if you had just bumped it up a tier in terms of making it slightly more modern, double, triple that number.
Give it widescreen support. Even that, like, common emulators can do that at this point.
I feel like you can't. I don't know. Let me pose a nice comparison to you, which is Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, a game that looks like a modern game, which 64 does not, sold 8.85 million, right behind it. Like, I don't feel like you can say like a facelift for 64 would have doubled these numbers.
Yeah, but I don't
you're
think
talking into.
I think the problem with 3D World is that people don't know what it is. I think people think that it is this, like, it's almost like it's not a real Mario game. I think it presents itself that way.
I think that 9 million people are hardcore Mario fans. Now, I'll say a little less. I'll say 6 million people are hardcore Mario fans that will buy any Mario game that comes out. And then you've got the casual audience that says they look at Super Mario 3D. There's 27 million people that own Super Mario Odyssey. They go to the store, they look at the shelf, and they see Mario 3D All-Stars, they see Mario Bowser's Fury, and they're like, I already have a Mario game. I don't need this one. You saw the same effect with Super Mario Party, which sold 18 million copies, to a much better game, Mario Party Superstars, which has sold 6 million. People say, oh, I don't need that Mario Party. I already have a Mario Party on Switch. It is the sequel effect. You see numbers drop off. I feel like Odyssey, right? That's the Mario game on Switch. If they released another Mario Kart on Switch, it'd do crazy numbers. It would not touch 45 million. It would do like 25 million. It would not touch what Mario Kart 8 has, because there's a lot of people that would say, I already have Mario. Watch the same thing happen with Splatoon. It's not going to sell 13 million.
No.
Like Splatoon 2.
No.
It's not
We
going
will
to.
get to that.
Yeah.
But okay, to counteract your argument though, is I think that's on Nintendo for their poor naming conventions. I think Chris is right when he says people didn't understand what 3D World was.
I just disagree with that.
Because look at the Wii U. Like, people literally thought, like, could not understand that the Wii U was different from the Wii. Like, as crazy as that sounds, the average consumer, what have you, could not differentiate between Wii and Wii U. They're like, what is that? Like, they didn't understand it was a different system. And
yeah, that's like saying I already have the Wii, so I have the Wii U. Like, people aren't looking at 3D World and saying this is something else.
No,
they thought the Wii U was the Wii.
But I think people look at 3D World and they're like, this isn't doing anything at a glance. You know, in a 2-minute trailer, this game is not doing anything unique or like anything that stands out from any other Mario title that I've played a million times.
Okay.
Or honestly, it's very obvious. Like, you throw the hat, you do the thing. Like, you show that game for 5 seconds, and it's like, oh wow, this is very different.
Sure.
Yeah, I had people ask me, like, they just thought it was just like a remake of like an old Mario game. Yeah. I mean, it is technically, from the Wii U, but like, they didn't understand, like, oh, this was like a great 3D Mario game that no one played on the Wii U, so they're just doing the thing of putting it on the Switch. Like, they just thought, like, oh, it was kind of like when New Super Mario Bros. Came out and they kept releasing different versions of it. People were just like, oh, this is like, I already got. Like, in their mind, it's not like I have a Mario game. They're like, I think I already own this specifically. Like, this may be like a different version, but they think if they're going to look at their shelves, this is a game they already own.
I feel like, okay, I still think that we are overestimating the casual audience willingness to buy multiple games in the same series. I also think that a lot of Switch owners have dropped off. I think a lot of people got it in 2017, played Zelda, played Mario, maybe got Splatoon, maybe got Smash, Mario Kart, and put it down. That's got to be that's a huge
number of people
of this player base. That's an enormous amount. So when you're looking at Odyssey's 25 million, that's because it came out in the first year and has been on shelves forever. We're talking here like 8 and 9 million is bad number. That's huge. Those are huge numbers. Those are huge numbers for any game. Last of Us Part 2, this multi-million cinematic,
choose your next words carefully.
It sold 10 million copies. 10 million.
I thought it was more than that.
We're talking about a port of a Wii U game. This is as of July 2022. Last of Us Part 2 sold 10 million copies. We're sitting here talking about 3 low-effort ports of 20-year-old games.
Damn it, he's right.
And a port of a Wii U game that sold almost as much as that. Those are great, great numbers. So I'm just here to say,
right.
I don't think Odyssey is the comparison for 3D All-Stars. I think 3D World is. And I think that if they had not made it limited, we'd be sitting at the same number.
I'll give you that. The only thing I can say to that is I'm surprised Mario Maker 2 didn't sell more. That's all I can really say at that point. That was a compelling argument, sir. You have the
Mario Maker 2, 8 million. For a game they barely supported.
Yeah, they really didn't. And, I mean, they really don't talk about at this point anymore. The only quasi-argument I want to make to that is you can still find this game in stores. A year or two later? Almost 2 years later?
A year and a half later.
Yeah.
A year and a half since it was delisted.
But you are losing out on all those digital sales, which for the Switch is a huge deal. You know, not everybody buys every cart like I do.
I will agree with you. I think that if tomorrow, if there was a Nintendo Direct tomorrow and Nintendo announced a straight up HD remake that looks like Mario Odyssey of Super Mario 64, it would break 10 million. I do believe that. I think it would pass what this thing did because it was a weird release and maybe people didn't want to play Super Mario 64 when they could just emulate the old version or whatever. I do think that would do better. I just think anything reaching over 20 million is an insane ask. And like we're kind of warped by how crazy the numbers on the Switch are, that like the numbers of those top 10 games are absolutely unbelievable. For games that are only on the
Switch, you mean?
Yeah, on Switch.
Yeah.
What Kart, Smash, New Horizons, Breath of the Wild, and Odyssey have done is unfathomable to me. You've got the Pokemon games, which makes sense. Pokemon is just enormous, but like Zelda, never being one of Nintendo's top sellers, to come out of the gate and sell 27 million is still unbelievable. I want to know what Breath of the Wild 2 is going to do. Oh yeah.
I can't believe Ring Fit sold 14.5 million. That's hilarious to me.
Yeah. The pandemic.
Yeah, the pandemic really helped.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Some of the other numbers I found interesting. Link's Awakening sold 6 million for a 2D remake of a Game Boy game. I thought that was pretty good and gives me hope for the future of 2D.
A very piss poor remake, I'll say.
Yeah, a very bad remake, but a game that not a lot of people played.
Yeah.
And it was just so like it looked so accessible. It was very cute.
It was
the
very
art style
cute.
of that game.
Very bad remake. Wow, guys.
God, it runs like garbage.
It is. Have you not played it? You played it, right?
I enjoyed it a lot. I've played it like twice.
Okay, see, here's my thing. Like, I'm gonna use Pokemon as an example. Like, I feel like you gotta be fair to all. Like, everyone doesn't like the Dominant Pearl remakes for all the reasons that I don't like Link's Awakening. I'm like, I gotta be fair here. Like, the hit detection. When I say hit detection, I don't mean from enemies. I mean literally just walking in the environment. It's all over the place.
Okay.
Like graphically, there's some spots where like I don't know what's going on. Like my eyes, like it looks like it's trying to do like some 3D toy box effect, but like it stopped halfway through, and my point is that game has problems that should not exist, especially in a Zelda game.
That I agree with. Yeah, the frame rate is a big bummer, but otherwise I like it. If you get rid of that, which I don't really care about frame rate, we've established on the boardroom, does not matter to me. I think Age of Calamity is a phenomenal game. Then if you took the frame rate issues away from Link's Awakening, I think that's a great remake.
But they're there.
And that's enough for PC Master Race, Chris. Okay. Pikmin 3 Deluxe sold 2.2 million, which seems astronomically high for a Pikmin. Like, bring out that Pikmin game you said you finished 7 years ago. Like, where is that? Because this one's continuing that franchise.
I think of that game every day. And I'm not exaggerating.
I still am not sure if it was Hey Pikmin. I'm still not sure. Because they said
I think Pikmin's overrated, honestly. Like, here's my thing. If Pikmin gets support selling 2 million copies, I don't understand why they're so scared to touch their other franchises.
I was going to say that. So I made a little sheet of just a few games. Pikmin's on it. Because if Pikmin can sell 2 million, F-Zero can sell 2 million. Please. Everything they put out sells over 1 million. Like, literally every first-party game. There's, like, very few exceptions. Like, Game Builder Garage did not cross 1 million. It was never going to. ARMS sold 2.5 million. Like, what are we doing?
There was nothing else to play at that point, though. Like, we were just excited to have a game. If ARMS came out now, how well would it sell?
Okay, but Pikmin came out 3.5 years into the Switch's life.
I'm shocked that Pikmin sold that well.
Yeah.
Considering it's a re-release.
Miitopia sold 1.6 million.
Who is
a port of a 3DS game.
yo.
Who is playing that?
Wow. Who cares? Nintendo has the money. They don't care.
Big Brain Academy, which didn't even come out in America, sold 1.28 million. Like, come on. Anything you publish sells 1 million copies. Make an F-Zero. That's all I'm asking. It's time. If any system is going to bring life to that series, it's the Switch. It's the Switch effect. It's real. Pikmin. You told me 10 years ago when Pikmin 3 was announced for Wii U, this game's going to sell over 2 million copies. I would have laughed at you. Little 14-year-old me would have laughed at you. Okay. It's time for F-Zero. Tropical Freeze, 4 million. Time for a new Donkey Kong. I predicted that.
Time for them to drop the price.
Show. Time for them to
Drop the price of Tropical Freeze. I had my first IT job when that game released on the Wii U. It's time. Take the hit, Nintendo.
It's a great game. It's an outstanding game. I have been predicting new DK for a while. I would love if that showed up in this upcoming Direct, hopefully this month. But to me, that seems like E3 next year. We'll see.
I'm ready for a 3D DK. That's a topic for another time, though.
Oh, you've talked about it, and since you have, that's another thing I think about every day. I wake up in the morning and I check Twitter and I go, nope, it's not here yet.
Uncharted style DK with a coconut gun.
Yeah,
that's what I want.
He'll fire in spurts. If you shoot you, it's gonna hurt.
And then I've already mentioned it, but Mario Maker 2 at 8 million. It's also time for a new 2D Mario. They're sitting on stuff that's ready to make them millions of dollars that I want to play. And yeah, I'm excited. I feel like once we kind of get through this cadence of releases, this is the first time in a while we don't know what's next. Like, I feel like for most of the Switch's life cycle, we've pretty much known what's like a year out. But after like Splatoon,
there was a hot minute when Xenoblade Chronicles with a pandemic hit, really.
Besides 2020. Yeah, absolutely. But even then, we still knew few things in the pipeline.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was that point where it's like, Paper Mario is out in 2 days, and Age of Calamity is out next week. That did happen for a little bit that year. But besides that, I feel like we've always had a pretty good idea of what was next. So I'm excited that we're kind of entering the unknown here. And we'll see.
You know, quick aside, this might be a controversial topic, because I hear this a lot. I think I'm one of the few people. I prefer 3D Mario over 2D Mario, honestly.
Oh, me too.
That's just
yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Hands down. But
you're in a safe
space here. My favorites are different than everyone else's favorites. I don't really like 64. I don't think Galaxy is as great as Democratic.
It's okay. It was before your time. I understand.
Galaxy wasn't. What's wrong with you?
I played Galaxy on launch, man.
See, 64 is before your time, and Galaxy is before you developed a palate
or a brain.
It was like whoa, it's like giving caviar to a 6-year-old. They can't appreciate that.
Okay.
I understand the divisiveness of Galaxy.
Odyssey is so much better. I even like 3D World more.
You know why?
Significantly.
You know why? That's
just
better?
Insulting.
Dude, 3D World is magical. I agree with Chris. That game doesn't show great, but if you play that with 2 or 3 friends, I don't know if there's a more fun video game. Like that is just top notch.
Yeah.
And Bowser's Fury is amazing too. Like that package on Switch is like it's like a top 5 Switch game to me.
I mean, Bowser's Fury is cool for a weekend. The weekend I finally beat it.
And, yeah, well, it's short. Cool. Yeah, it's a little experiment, but yeah, okay. Anyways, maybe for our 3D Mario retrospective that apparently we have to have now.
We're gonna quit. One of us is gonna quit the show before it's over.
That's gonna be a heated day in the boardroom.
Okay.
Did we ever release episode 0 of the Mario Sports? We released that, right?
Yeah.
No, we did not release it.
Oh no.
Oh yeah. I'm about to say, I don't think we released it.
No, we haven't released the discussion. Yeah, it's in hiding. Maybe someday. But today we're going to talk about Splatoon because the Splatfest happened over the weekend, and I unfortunately only got to play the first half of this. I was busy for the second half when they did the tricolor turf war, so I don't have impressions of that. I don't know if either of you guys got to jump into that. But rock versus paper versus scissors. Rock ended up winning. Paper got second with like 14% of the popular vote. I was on Team Paper. I didn't realize that no one else was. It was like 40%, and a few extras, and then like 14.5% on paper. What was the deal with that? What team were you guys on?
Scissors, baby.
Scissors?
I think I was on. Was Scissors red?
Yes.
Yeah,
That
it
was
on
Big Man's
scissors.
team.
Yeah,
Was
that's why I
scissors.
picked it, because I would die for him.
Yeah. I feel like people just pick based on the idols. I pick based on the topic. I feel like everyone's just like, I'm on Big Man's team every time, no matter what. And people don't really like Fry. People like Shiver. People like Big Man. I don't think people really like Fry.
Her fingers
Man,
freak me out.
I like Fry.
Okay.
I mean, she's no the Octo before her. That was my girl.
Kaylee and Marie,
Marina.
or Callie
Marina
and
was
Marie?
the best host. Callie and Marie Splatoon 1. Pearl and Marina Splatoon
Pearl,
2.
that was
Marina
Marina
was
the
my girl.
Octoling, yeah.
She was
So Splatfest, you got to design your character. You can now pick between Inkling or Octoling. Don't have to own the Octo expansion to do that. Then you got to explore the new town, which is huge. It is so much bigger than the other two, like unnecessarily so. Like you're not going to spend any time in this.
wait, don't. Hey,
cool.
One of my points was we needed a bigger
You
town.
wanted
That
I'm not mad about it.
And then once the Splatfest actually started on Saturday, you get to play in the lobby, which is the new place you'll hang out while you're waiting for matchmaking to finish. And you can practice with your weapon in there. There's like dummies to practice shooting, walls to climb, obstacles, and you can also like join up with your friends way easier than before with the little app. You just hit L, opens up the matchmaking menu, invite your friends, hop in, go. Those things, great. It's what I wanted. That alone for me, a huge Splatoon fan, is going to be enough to squeeze 100 hours out of me in this game. I love those quality of life features. I really liked being in the lobby because there's 2 new weapon types in this demo. So the Splatana and the Stringer, I believe it's called. I practiced with them both before I went into the match with them, and I thought that was really, really great. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it. And then there were a bunch of new maps we got to try out too. They rotated every 2 hours, as they will when the game comes out. And I was a fan of the new maps overall. So for me, a big Splatoon fan, excited to jump in. Chris, I didn't forget, you made a face earlier when I said Splatoon 3 won't sell 13 million. What did you think of the Splatfest?
So I enjoyed. What's weird is like I'm gonna start by saying, first of all, I'm sorry to Splatoon fans for what I'm about to say. I did have fun playing this. I had a lot of fun. I probably played for like 2.5 or 3 hours throughout the day consecutively because I wanted to try all the different maps and modes and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
This is a tough sell to anyone that bought Splatoon 2. Like, as someone who bought Splatoon 2 and has like maybe 30 hours in it, I am in no way compelled to buy this one. I don't even want to get into that yet. I did have some connectivity issues as far as getting into like joining in with friends. So there's like 2 different ways that you can join in with people when you're in that main lobby. There's like little ghost figures of their character that you can kind of walk.
Even try that.
Yeah, so you can walk up to them. So like I had 3 friends that were in the same party, so all 3 of them are in there, and I was like, okay, cool. Let me try to join up. Typical knock, whatever. The lack of a party system at this point, like voice chat, is just infuriating because it would. And this is system wide. I know this is a system wide problem, but like the 3 of them were at my buddy's house, all playing together, and me trying to join in with them was just super frustrating. Because I'm constantly going to Discord. I have to message them. Are you guys out of the game? Are you in the game? You know, all that. It's frustrating. So there were a lot of times where I would try to join and I couldn't because they had already gone into the next match, or I would be in their party and it would kick me out. I had like 2 instances where I was in the game and it kicked me out of the game. I had one that I had to completely like leave the game Splatoon 3 entirely and then boot back into it. Okay,
let's be fair. This is a test run for them as well.
It is.
And this is more people playing at one time than
that
will
probably have
ever be playing at once.
Yeah.
In the actual game.
Yeah. That being said, when you're in matches, it is very smooth. I really didn't like. It wasn't. I didn't see a character stuttering around and anything like that. It seemed pretty. Pretty good from that front. Gameplay wise, it's definitely like I went back and played Splatoon 2 throughout the day, like while I was doing this, just to kind of compare. Visuals are definitely better. I don't think you would know without really making the comparison though. Like I think at first glance it's like, okay, it's Splatoon. They are significantly better. But there's just not a whole lot here for me. I'm having a really hard time stomaching the fact that I'm going to spend $60 on this in 2 weeks or a week or whatever it is. Like I'm having a really hard time with it. Because I know you're going to want to play it. I don't know if my buddies are going to want to play it, but like Splatoon 2 came out, we were all real hot on it for a week, and then we all fell off. And I'm kind of like, why even bother? We all have Splatoon 2 already. If we want to do that, if we want to play Splatoon, why don't we just all play that and save ourselves $60 and then we'll get over it and then move on with our lives.
Okay.
You know, I think Splatoon 3 will do over 10 million, maybe surpassing Splatoon 2 because of one key factor that Splatoon has that no other Nintendo game has. FOMO exists in the Splatoon universe because it's such a social game in the sense that the Splatfest is on social media, you know, it's on Twitter, these things. It's like, you know, and it has that very like, oh, I got to get Splatoon 3 because I got to be part of the Splatfest. I got to be part of the conversation. Yes, that will die off, you know, after a year or so or however long, you know, they keep it going. But I'm saying no other Nintendo game has that very social in real time element to it. And I feel like that will drive a lot of people to buy this game. For example, you know, you're going to have, you know, kind of like how when Animal Crossing, yes, the pandemic helped it, but there was such a strong social element. That's what really pushed that game forward. Mm-hmm. And Splatoon just has that naturally. So, you know, you're going to see your friends talking about, oh, the next Splatfest, they're going to have, you know, a Halloween theme one, a Christmas theme one. They're going to have these things. You know, I think they had like the Turkey Day one where it was like, you know, turkey versus ham or something. I think those things will push enough kids to want it where parents will get it, or just enough people over the fence is like, oh man, you know, I remember I remember when I turned on my Switch list when Breath of the Wild came out, and it'll be like the most friends I've ever seen on Switch Online, all playing the same game. And you got to think, if you didn't have Breath of the Wild and you see your entire friend list playing one game, subconsciously that's going to get to you. You're going to be like, damn. And I think that what Splatoon has more so than anything, it'll just push them over the line. Like it doesn't, and again, once you reach those numbers, it doesn't matter if y'all drop off after a week. Who cares? We've sold 15 million.
And I think that's what I'm struggling with. Like you hit the nail on the head. Like it is I feel like I need to buy this game out of obligation and not because I actually want to play it. You know, I feel like it is like this social experiment that like, you know, if my friends are there, then I have to be a part of it and blah, blah, blah. But like, I feel like we're all kind of looking at each other right now going, are you going to buy it? I don't know if I'm going to buy it. I'm still on the fence. I don't know. Are you going to get it? How many of us are going to get it?
Well, this is just so interesting because this is the first time this conversation has really entered the Nintendoverse, but Madden and Call of Duty players do this every year for the last 20 years. And now it's been 5 years since the last Splatoon, and you're like, let's just play Splatoon 2. Dude, the only people left on Splatoon 2 are going to be like hackers and like gods that are there to just like lay waste to anyone like you who's like, I'm just going to pick this up for a day. And then that's what happened to Splatoon 1. If you go back to Splatoon 1 today, you will get wasted by people that just play Splatoon 1. It's a weird thing. Anyway, that happens in the Call of Duties too. But I think that the reason we wanted to Splatoon 3 is there's going to be new maps that come out every month. You're not getting anything new there. The Splatfest for me is a big draw. I think that's such a cool thing that happens every few weeks. I think that's cool. I'm excited to be there for that. Yes, obviously your friends will be there. But here's the kicker that the Splatfest didn't tell you, which is that, Chris, you played the Octo expansion. You thought the Octo expansion was really good. Let me tell you, they showed off the single player. You didn't think it was
We
good?
haven't talked. We haven't talked since I sent that message.
Okay.
No.
I thought you liked the Octo
Nope.
expansion.
I have a whole thing about that, too.
Oh, really? Because that's like secretly super underrated. It's like
no,
really
it's not.
I don't know.
Let me tell you the problem with the Octo expansion.
Okay, keep it quick. We got to talk about the tricolor.
That's fine. So my main issues with that, I feel like Splatoon single player content in general. This is just where the point I'm at. Splatoon single player content is not what I want it to be. I don't think it's what the majority of people want it to be. I think there's a lot that you can do in that world, and there's better storytelling to be had than just here's a puzzle box of you starting and stopping. Like, it's almost like the Sonic Colors problem, where it's like you build this game around movement and to be a multiplayer shooter, and yet here I am like shooting an 8-ball very slowly so that it doesn't fall off a ledge, and if it does, then I'm penalized for that. And like, it doesn't feel good to play Splatoon single player. I liked the first 40 minutes of the Octo expansion that I played. Okay. I thought it was great. I loved the underground setting. You know, I love, like, everybody's talking like they're all hip and cool, and then
the music is good.
The music is fantastic. And then you actually start playing the game and it's like, what are we doing? Why is this the mission? I'm not having fun.
Chris, to me it sounds like you should not buy Splatoon 3.
Yeah.
Is what it sounds like to me. Because you don't really like any of it.
I like playing Splatoon matches. I like playing the game. Like, I like playing the multiplayer. But I'm not going to play it for forever. I have too many other games to play. I know that about myself.
I need to hear about Tricolor Turf 4. So this was the second half of the Splatfest.
Yes.
What's it like? How's it work?
So, being Scissors, we were in the middle. So when I hopped on, Scissors was like king of the castle. We were the winners of, or, you know, we were in the lead for the Splatfest at that point. So whoever's winning Splatfest at that point, you are dropped in the middle. It is 4v2v2. From what I've been able to gather, it's a typical kind of turf war where you are trying to defend the center and they are trying to get in on you. And there's like, I can't remember the name of it. There's like an object that they have to get to in the center that like blasts some kind of signal. And I think if they get it, then it drops this drawbridge on their side, and it makes it easier for them to get around so they can spread paint more easily. That was what I gathered from it. It is tremendous. I only played when I was in the middle. It is tremendously difficult when you're in the middle of that map and you're trying to take on, like, it's super fun, but it is stressful.
Cool.
Yeah, I really, really liked it a lot. I kind of wished that I was there when we started losing so that I could be on the other side and kind of experience that. But that didn't happen. I didn't stay on that late. But no, I think that's probably the best addition to this game is that mode.
Yeah, that's very cool because I always loved the idea of Splatfest, but I felt they always added like a new stage, like a weird exclusive Splatfest stage, and then the stages are at night, and there's some exclusive music. But even with all that, you can only play Turf War for so long.
Right.
And they're asking you to binge it over the course of an entire weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So for it halfway through to totally mix up and be this thing you can only do at that time during the Splatfest, but at the same time, it's not like really like no one will be upset that they can't do it outside of the Splatfest. I think it's great. I think it's really cool. I'm excited to try it out for myself. Odell, did you play the Tricolor at all?
I did not, sadly.
Okay. Did you play? What did you think of the game? We haven't really heard from you yet.
I am slightly towards what Chris is saying, as in, like, you know, I played Splatoon 2. I maybe hit like 50, 60 hours, somewhere around there. And it's like, it's definitely better, like definitively better, but is it enough? That I don't know. I honestly feel like the only thing I would need from this game for it to be a certified banger in my mind is like if Nintendo was just like, here's Wii U Speak, but the Switch version and use it for Splatoon. I'm like, fine. There, I'm sold. I can probably play this for a year and a half.
You can do that on your phone.
And be good.
With the Switch Online app.
And I'm not gonna lie. I'm be honest. I am not a fan of Discord lobbies. Like I'm very like we got this right in 2004, 5. Here's my controller. Here's my mic. Clink. I'm talking to somebody. It's 2022, man. I'm not trying to have my phone on speaker while I'm playing a game. And
I'm with you. I'm 1000% with you. I'm over it. Like, it's not cute anymore.
I could not tell you the last time I used integrated voice chat on my PlayStation or Xbox. I just don't do it. So I really don't even notice it's not there on Switch. But I understand that millions of people probably do. But for me, it's like, maybe it's because I grew up in an environment where it didn't exist playing Nintendo games. So I never used voice chat ever. So then when I adopted these other platforms, I just didn't even think to. But for me, it's like, what is the big deal? Like, who that should be on voice chat, so meaning not kids, doesn't have a way to link up with their friends otherwise.
It's not,
to me, it's just really not a big deal.
It's not a matter of not having another way. It's like, and Odell, like, I don't want to speak for you, but like I'll speak for myself, but I feel like you and I are kind of the same age group here. Like, you've got to understand, like, when I was in high school, for like every day over the summer, like, we'd be after school, you would log online, you were playing Call of Duty 4 or whatever was out at the time, and you could look at your friends list on Xbox and you could see who was on. Someone would start a party and you were just automatically in a chat with those people, and that was it. You just got to hang out with your friends for the entire night at that point.
Yeah, like, for me, I was there when Halo 2 originally released. I remember, fun story, I remember I got an Xbox Live card, I put it in, and I was like, how the hell I connect to the internet? And 2 days later, I bought like a 50-foot Ethernet cord. My mom bought it for me. Thank you, Mom. And I ran this Ethernet cord from my room to the computer, which was in the living room. Like, my mom used to hate this cord that ran from my room, to the length of our house. She used to hate it. And I played games online. But here's the thing. I've talked about this online, but I've never talked about it on the show specifically. Okay, I play a lot of Apex Legends. I love Apex Legends. Okay. I think Apex Legends perfected callouts. Like, you can have a full like conversation with the native callouts, like enemy there, hey, I need help, blah blah blah. All you can convey all information you would ever need, assuming you just don't want to talk to strangers, right?
But Splatoon 2, Booyah don't do it for you.
Yeah, that's
but that's the thing because like there's the thing. We've also entered a world of gaming where callouts exist, and they're very fine tuned. You have basic calls. You can even fine tune your calls to certain things. But Splatoon like insults us and is just like, here's callouts that literally mean nothing.
Yeah, like, don't even have them there. Honestly,
yeah, like it's like, okay, oh crap, they're running towards the base. Booyah, woohoo, yahoo! Like, there's not even like a Splatoon Reddit where it's like everyone universally agrees what these things means. Like, everyone else, if you say booyah, you mean they're rushing us. No, it's just gibberish that to this day, not even as a community, has the term. So it's like, at least do that, right? Give me like help. They're attacking me. Oh, they're rushing the base.
Help is one of them.
Half the time when I do a call out, it's by accident. Like, I'm in the respawn cycle and I have the map open and I'm trying to go to another player. Like, that whole system is weird. And it's weird in Splatoon 2 as well. But old man can't figure it out. I don't know.
So yeah, I'm just like, if we're not gonna have voice chat, at least give us like better call outs. Like, I feel like, what, that would be my one Splatoon 3 thing. If they gave us legit call outs, like the reflected modern gaming or the actions that's going on in Splatoon 2, Splatoon 3, I don't know, I keep saying 2. I think that would have just, I'm ranting now. Where's my Arizona tea?
Okay. We're out of time for this week. That's a heated talk on Splatoon 3. Sounds like two boardroom members out. I'm in. I'll be picking it up next week on September 9th. And hopefully I'll see you out there. We're not done. We'll be talking about it a lot more as it comes out. And we play some more of this thing. Or maybe just me. Maybe you guys aren't going to.
I'm going to get it.
I'm going to get it.
Oh, and there it is.
I'm going to get it, but I'm going to curse you out on Twitter when I do.
There it is.
I'm going to be like, hey, guys, it would have been nice. We would have won that match, but all I can say was booyah.
Okay. All right. That's going to do it this week in the board. You can find the show on Twitter at ToadstoolBR. Email us, toadstoolboardroom@gmail.com. We are here every Thursday at noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, wherever you like to listen to your shows. You can find Odell on Twitter at
Odell Harmon Jr.
And this weekend, you can find Odell at
PAX West. Woo!
Woo! Chris and I both bailed. We were trying to throw something together. But maybe PAX East, maybe next year at PAX West, we'll figure it out. Yeah, so if you see Odell, say hi. You can find Chris at
Shrives93. I will not be at PAX West. I'll be at a wedding.
You can find him this weekend at
A wedding.
I hope someone at that wedding is like, hey, aren't you Chris from Toaster Boardroom?
I'm like, stop stalking me. Get out of here.
And you can find me at Logan J. Plant. Thank you so much for listening. Hope you have a great week. And we'll see you next time right here in the Toadstool Boardroom.
Booyah.
Booyah. What flavor of Gatorade is that? Is that lemon lime?
Lemon lime.